Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari. Somebody's at the door. Yashodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachaja Sutara Sutta Sri Śrimad. The Divine Grace of Bhāgavatam Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. BBT Founder Acharya Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. Save for the whole world the Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Nachaleva Vishnu Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakachaja Astatara Sutta Sri Śrimad. The Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Grantha Raj Śrimad Bhāgavatam Ki. Gaur Premanande. All glory to some devotees. All glory to some devotees. All glory to some devotees. All glory to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga, and Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. I mean, if it's not there, I have no idea. Anyway, small lock, you can cut it. You need it open for some reason? For what? Anyway, we can cut the lock. We can cut the lock. Not a problem. Padam, padam, yad bhi padam natesha. That was the lesson that Arjuna Nanda is teaching us. Continued reading from Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita. Additional pastimes. There are so many additional pastimes. If one wants to search out, more and more become revealed on a regular basis as devotees write their memoirs. They're very unique. Everyone has, all of Prabhupada's disciples had some association at some different ways in different times. And all of them have some very valuable insights. So when you get a chance, has everyone read or seen the videos, memories by Siddhanta Prabhu? They also have the accompanying books. Very nice. So this year is the 50th anniversary of the opening of the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Ram Navami 1975. So he'll be putting on a very nice, every evening, some memories, especially related to Vrindavan at that time, and Prabhupada is present there. There's many disciples are going back home to join Srila Prabhupada. So we're continuing with a visit to Boston. From morning until night, Prabhupada spoke about Krishna. Although yogis sometimes take a vow of silence to avoid useless, frivolous talk, he said, one who knows Krishna wants to speak 24 hours a day. When you love God, you want to tell others about Him. And automatically you write volumes and volumes of books. Of course, many times in the day, Prabhupada was actually silent, alone in his room. But that silence was also Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Govinda Dasi would peek in and find him reading the Sanskrit Bhāgavatam commentaries, chanting on his beads, or dozing briefly at his desk after lunch. Sometimes he would sing verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita, or walk around the apartment with his hand in his bead bag, chanting to himself and observing his assistants. So in this small museum that we have, this is also Srila Prabhupada's desk, where he translated, among other things, the original Krishna book from 1969, which is when the devotees moved from 61 2nd Avenue to 439 Henry Street. So that simple plywood table, which is the original table, and there's the dictaphone next to it. And so if you see the photo above that scene, it shows everything that's there. And one can get a little understanding of what Prabhupada was doing and how he was translating. And on the side of the room, in that same room, there are two books encased in the glass cabinets. Just the two separate ones. Those are the original books, Sanskrit and Bengali, that Prabhupada was using to make the translation of Krishna book and Chaitanya Charitamrita and teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So those are the original books. So there's very special that we have these, and that's why they're kept under lock and key. And the one that's on the desk is a similar, but it's not the ones that Prabhupada used. We just put that there on the desk to to set the scene. Govinda Dasi. In Boston, Swamiji would sing for hours from Chaitanya Charitamrita or Śrimad Bhāgavatam, just singing with the most feeling all by himself in his room. And I would peek in the keyhole to see how he was. Sometimes I would go in and check on him when he would pause. I would try not to disturb him. Just checking, she would say. I would just go in to see if he needed anything, and sometimes I would peek in and simply think, who is he? Nobody knows who he really is or where he really came from or how great he really is. Especially in Boston, I began to feel very strongly that he was such a great personality and that I was viewing only a very minute glimpse of him, and that actually much, much more was going on than I could realize. A devotee might go in and ask Swamiji what he wanted for lunch, or to check on his travel schedule, or to get advice on some business item. But the talk would almost invariably turn to Krishna conscious philosophy once matters at hand had been dealt with. What Swamiji wanted for lunch might bring him to talk about what Krishna liked for lunch, or how great devotees went without eating, or how the modern-day civilization was demoniac for killing helpless cows. And whoever entered Prabhupada's room might find himself being pressed to argue against the existence of God and then be defeated by Prabhupada. Or Prabhupada might start talking even to a disciple who came to replace a burned out bulb about how he wanted to one day introduce the Krishna conscious social order, Varnashram Dharma, all over the world. Sometimes a lone devotee sitting with Prabhupada as he spoke so profoundly would feel guilty. If instead of talking just to me, he were translating his books, then everyone would benefit. I shouldn't be taking up his time in this way. Once Jadharani expressed the sentiment, Swamiji, maybe you should save your strength for translating. Quote, if you love someone, Prabhupada replied, raising his head back while looking at Jadharani, you like to hear him speak. More often, however, once a devotee got into Prabhupada's room, he wouldn't leave until Govinda Dasi came in, dropping broad hints or pointing to her watch and signaling from the doorway. In fact, the devotees took up so much of Prabhupada's time that Gaurasundar and Govinda Dasi complained to Satsarup. Swamiji was being disturbed more in Boston than he had been in any other place, they said, and he was getting very little translating done. Alarmed that Boston was becoming inconvenient for Swamiji, Satsarup agreed to restrict devotees from seeing Prabhupada in his room. He informed devotees that they could accompany Prabhupada on his walk, but that they should not follow him back to his house. Satsarup. Following my instruction, the next morning, everyone stopped at the bottom of the porch. Swamiji alone walked up to the steps of his house. When he got to the top step, he turned around to see us all standing there, and he waved to us. Come on. Everyone immediately ran up the stairs and joined in his room. Feeling guilty that we were taking up his time, I made an attempt to terminate the discussion in his room. Bowing my head to the floor in a gesture of leaving, I announced to Srila Prabhupada, we will leave you now and let you do your work. But Swamiji checked me as presumptuous. You think I am not working now? Do you think this is not work, he said? You do not know what work is. This is also work. And he continued to talk on. Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada was instructing the future generation of ISKCON. But at the time, many could not understand that it would expand before just a simple storefront. The idea of a worldwide movement had not even set in yet. And that would be another year before the first devotees would go to London. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Śrimad Bhāgavatam, 4th canto, 6th chapter, texts 6 and 7. So I'll read text 6 and then chant the text for 7 and the purport. And this chapter is titled, Brahma Satisfies Lord Shiva. Ashasana Jivitam Advarasya. We can chant and we'll chant one time. Ashasana Jivitam Advarasya. Loka Sapala Kupite Nayasmin. Kamasudevang Priyaya Vihinang. Shama Payat Bang Riddhi Viddam Duruktai. Is that good? That's 6, right? And now 7. Naham Nayagno Natsayu Yamanye. Nahang Nayagno Natsayu Yamanye. Ideha Bhaja Muniyashtatatvam. Vidu pramanang balavirya yorva. Yasyatmatrantrasya upayang vidyachet. Yasyatmatantrasya upayang vidyachet. Na. Oh, we're going to chant. We're going to chant all around. We have time? Okay. You first. Nang niyagno natsayu yamanye. Ideya bhajo muniyat tatvan. Vidu pramanam balavir yavova. Yasatvatanta shaka upayang viditset. Nang niyagno natsayu yamanye. Ideya bhajo muniyat tatvan. Vidu pramanam balavir yavova. Yashatmatantrasya kapayam vidyachet. Nahang yagno natsayu yamanye. Muniyat chatarvam. Vidu pramanang balavir yorva. Yashatmatantrasya upayam vidyachet. Nahang yagno natsayu yamanye. Nideha bhajo muniyat chatarvam. Vidu pramanam balavir yorva. Yashatmatantrasya upayam vidyachet. Nahang yagno natsayu yamanye. Yadeha bhajo muniyat chatarvam. Yashatmatantrasya upayam vidyachet. Ladies. Nahang yagno natsayu yamanye. Nideya bhajo muniyat chatarvam. Vidu pramanam balavir yavova. Yashatmatantrasya upayam vidyachet. Na, not, aham, I, na, nor, yagna, Indra, na, nor, cha, and, yuyam, all of you, anye, others, ye, who, dehabhaja, of those who bear material bodies, munaya, the sages, cha, and, tattvam, the truth, vidu, know, pramanam, the extent, balaviryayo, of the strength and power, va, or, yasya, of Lord Shiva, atmatantrasya, of Lord Shiva, who is self-dependent, ka, what, upayam, means, viditset, should wish to devise. Translation and purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma said that no one, not even himself, Indra, all the members assembled in the sacrificial arena, or all the sages could know how powerful Lord Shiva is. Under the circumstances, who would dare to commit such an offense at his lotus feet? Please repeat. Lord Brahma said that no one, not even himself, Indra, all the members assembled in the sacrificial arena, or all the sages, could know how powerful Lord Shiva is. Under the circumstances, who would dare to commit an offense at his lotus feet? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. After Lord Brahma advised the demigod to go to Lord Shiva and beg his pardon, it was suggested how he should be satisfied and how the matter should be placed before him. Brahma also asserted that none of the conditioned souls, including himself and all the demigods, could know how to satisfy Lord Shiva. But, he said, it is known that he is very easily satisfied. So let us try to satisfy him by falling at his lotus feet. Actually, the position of the subordinate is always to surrender to the Supreme. That is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord asks everyone to give up all kinds of concocted occupations and simply surrender unto him. That will protect the conditioned souls from all sinful reactions. Similarly, in this case, Brahma also suggested that they go and surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. For since he is very kind and easily satisfied, this action would prove effective. Om Gyan Tamranda Shagananjana Slakaya Chakshur Mutabida Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Blankai Tegurum Yakipatabham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataram. There's several categories of intelligence. Everyone has heard that before. First class intelligence means to understand something simply by hearing it. All right, that's called first class intelligence. Second class intelligence means that one sees something and he understands it. In other words, you can see someone else doing something, right or wrong, and then you can gain the knowledge from that observation. Right? Just like experiment means hypothesis, observation. So then the third class intelligence is experience, experiential. Means one has to experience the good aspect or the bad aspect. It's like if one thinks that fire, it should burn, right? Everyone, even an adult knows. But a small child, he has to touch it. Even if the parent has said, no, don't do that, you will get burned. Even if he has seen others touch it and get burned, still third class intelligence means he will touch it himself to try. So we have and of course, what is fourth class intelligence? Even after hearing, seeing, and experience, still one does not comprehend. That's the general circumstances in Kali Yuga. Everything is fourth class intelligence. And there's, what is it? Why? That's Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatanyata. You have to repeat it at least 3 times in order for it to have effect. So that's why that mantra has 3 times. No other way, no other way, no other way. But to chant the holy names, chant the holy names, chant the holy names. That's just to make an impression, because in Kali Yuga, everyone is less intelligent. Manda Samanda Mataya, Manda Bhagya Upajuta. That's just We don't have to even refer to the scripture. Anyone who's walking around, you can see so many foolish things going on all the time. People constantly repeating the same mistakes. And they even have, what is that definition of insanity? What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, but expecting a different result. So someone is doing something over and over and over again, and he's thinking, no, I will get it, it will be different this time. When we were children, there was a famous cartoon called The Roadrunner. And it was him and his enemy, the coyote. They would have this Leela, where the coyote would try continuously to outsmart the Roadrunner. And he would never win him. Never wins. There's an example of that fourth class intelligence. And we were being taught as children to see the futility of trying to do the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result. So here are the demigods. It's to be understood that they should know the potency of Lord Shiva. The demigods are all situated in the mode of goodness. And we know that the mode of goodness, at least from the Bhāgavatam, which is our reference book, Tadarajas Tamo Bhavo Kama Lobhadayasche, that one is becoming elevated through the modes of nature up to the level of goodness, and on that platform only knowledge takes place. So it's to be understood that the demigods have knowledge on the platform of the mode of goodness. And what does that involve? It means understanding things as they are, essentially. There is illusion. Everyone in the material world, everyone who is embodied, just like it's described here, everyone who's embodied, there's some conditioning, those 4 defects. And so this is not an astounding thing that they don't somehow or other, Daksha, who is not just ordinary personality, as was described in the previous class. He is the chief Prajapati. He is not just a Prajapati. There are many. He is the original Prajapati. So just like we understand that seniority, if someone says, oh, he's a senior devotee, we expect that he should act in a certain capacity. That's just to be understood. And if that person is acting like a new bhakta, then we think, oh, something's amiss. What could be wrong? So this is, but somehow or other, for the purpose of instruction, this pastime is taking place. And the lesson is there that one should always, especially, respect the position of an elevated Vaishnava. That will protect him and help him to advance. There's no loss. You know, we're chanting every morning. I mean, the first offense, blaspheming devotees have dedicated their lives. What does that mean? Only those pure devotees? Only Prabhupada? No, it means every devotee. All right, when everyone who's practicing is a devotee. Krishna is giving everyone a special benediction, as long as he is acting on that platform of sincerely practicing. Even the Kanishta, there's the Nectar of Instruction describes how one should offer mental respects, even if he feels that somehow or other that I don't know this person, but yet there's some conditioning. I'm conditioned by my experience, my world outlook. I may not think that this person is an advanced person from his external appearance. It's like Jad Bharat. Jad Bharat, you could, from his looking at him, you could not understand that he is a Mahajan or in that category, you could not understand. Here, because Avadutas disguised. There's like a person, if he goes to a costume ball, he puts on some disguise, and you don't know who he is. He's the richest man in the world, but he's wearing a disguise and you don't know. So if you commit some offense, maybe you'll find yourself in a very bad position. So in the same way, we don't know, we cannot tell who is that person, what is his situation, what is his proximity to Krishna or the spiritual master, from his external. You may think, oh, this is just ordinary new bhakta. He doesn't know. We're reading in some aspects of the Lilamrita, one person, because Prabhupada, anyone that Prabhupada met was not ordinary. To get the association, sadhu sangha, sarva sastrakoi, lavamacha sadhu sangha, sarva siddhi hoy. There's some relationship there. What that relationship is, I'm not qualified to understand. No. But somehow or other, they were sent to be in this relationship as assistant or servant or facilitator. And when Prabhupada came to New York, he didn't know where everything was. But people, the Travelers Aid Society took him to the bus to Port Authority, and then to Butler, and then again returned and meeting to Dr. Mishra, and then meeting his followers. And among those followers was one person, Robert Nelson. And Robert Nelson was just another person from externally you would not think. This person, in ordinary parlance, he was considered to be someone who's a little slow. Means that he was very simple. And so his grown man, but with the simplicity of a child. And so he became a companion to Srila Prabhupada, and he would run errands. He would go with Prabhupada, and he would also run errands for Prabhupada and bring Prabhupada things. Brought him an alarm clock, or brought him, a mattress, or whatever he needed to do. But then, of course, Prabhupada moved down to the Bowery, and then to 22nd Avenue, and Mr. Nelson, Prabhupada used to call him Mr. Robert, was absent for some time. Nobody knew where was this person. We didn't know because we joined after this. And those who were there at the time, he wasn't even amongst those original personalities with, Mukunda Maharaj and others, and Hayagriva and Umapati and all those. So he didn't shift. He didn't come downtown. Many years later, when we were on the 55th Street Temple, there's after the Sunday feast one evening, and we're locking everything up, locking the doors. Someone was standing at the door, knocking at the door. Not hardly, but knocking. And so I was there in the lobby. I had already locked the doors, and I was leaving, and then I went back. And this person externally had the appearance of a bum. In New York, in America, in New York, you could tell in the dead of winter, they're wearing multiple layers of clothing. They're not very clean looking. And you can see that everything is dirty. Everything looks dirty. So we, out of compassion and habit, we open the door thinking that, okay, as in the past, we'll get some prasadam. But the first thing this person asks is Swamiji here? Thinking. This is 1978, just after Prabhupada left. And I'm thinking, who is this Swamiji? We never called Prabhupada Swamiji. But somebody from out of familiarity, we had so many sannyasis in ISKCON. Maybe he's meeting one of our sannyasis. We even had sannyasis living in the building. We had Tamal Krishna Maharaj, we had this, and others. I said, which Swamiji? And he said, Swamiji, like I'm supposed to know, Swamiji. So I brought him into the lobby, and there, Prabhu had given instruction that this painting in the back here, everyone should see, that this painting should hang in the lobby of our temples. It's been removed because there are other renovations. But this is like the lobby. But he instructed that this should be hanging in the lobby. So when I brought the person in, I had no idea who he was. I said, do you mean this person? Do you mean Prabhupada? He said, yes, Swamiji. I'm thinking, how does this person know who Prabhupada is? He's a bum. Prabhupada used to call them bumps. He's a bum. And I'm thinking, I guess it's possible. I mean, in my mind, I'm trying to go through these scenarios. Yeah, it's possible. I said, then who are you? He says, I'm Robert Nelson. Swamiji called me Mr. Robert. Thinking. So I thought, okay, where do you know Swamiji from? He said, from Dr. Mishra. And so that was a name which was a little familiar. Still, we weren't involved so much. But Satru Maharaj was doing research at that time. So I thought, okay, I need to connect this person to Satru Maharaj. And so one of his researchers was there. So first, I said, because, I said, where do you stay? Where do you live? And he was in a shelter. So I gave some prasadam. I said, can you come back tomorrow? And then I had one of our, receptionists, only receptionist, very expert, who used to man the front desk. I had him contact the devotee who was helping the research. And at that time, there were several. And this one, he also wasn't living in our temple at the time, but he was available. And anyway, I'll think of his name in a second. In any case, we put them together, and eventually he filled in a lot of details that nobody knew. Because everyone came after this episode with Dr. Mishra. But the point is not to judge a person by the cover. We would have lost a whole chapter of Prabhupada's history if I was so foolish not to just open the door and at least think, let me give prasadam. This is why we make this extra effort. You don't know who these people are. Not that we are foolish and letting people who are obviously not associates of Srila Prabhupada, not possible at this point. But at the same time, you don't know who is that person. And that's so many histories like that. And of course, this, as a result of not understanding who the great personality of Lord Shiva is, so much destruction and damage was done by that Virabhadra, by that huge demon. All right? So we can understand that this demon could represent, we know analogously that there are demons associated with different offenses. There's like you have the mad elephant offense. So there are other aspects or other offenses that we're affected by, and they're represented by certain demons in Krishna's Leela. And so we have to think that this is also an instruction, not just to the associates of Daksha or the demigod, but it's instruction to us. Like I said, not to assume what is the status of someone and then commit some offense that will have some effect. You don't know what that effect will be. And so that one should always be ready to offer all respects to others. And as we discussed in the Nectar of Instruction, that also means mental respects. One should offer with one's mind. If he, for some reason, is not able to offer physically or otherwise. You should just give respect. No. Even in the material world, they have that saying that to give the benefit of the doubt. Right? To give the benefit of the doubt. Another way of saying that, at least in the common law, that one is innocent until proven guilty. All these things are meant in order to prevent jumping to conclusions, because they could be deadly. Right? They could be very deadly. So this, we don't have to. Everyone has read. I'm sure that everyone is reading and studying the various chapters that we're on. At least while we're in a particular chapter, one should be thoroughly familiar what is being gone over. It's there for a reason, and so we take the opportunity. We're in 4th canto now. We're reading since 1st canto, and we've read multiple times from 1st to 10th canto. And so this is an ongoing, continuous process. And everyone should recognize that the benefit, this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, this is not just some dry academic, how can you say, propaganda to try to convert the minds of someone who would otherwise be thinking that, God is something else, or the creation is something else, or that I am something else. No. This is pure absolute knowledge, the purest knowledge. Right? Bhagavad Gita is giving us that faith to understand. The Bhagavad Gita is just like when we read it, it's like there's what is the test? Prabhupada uses the analogy that if you want to see if a pot of rice is cooked, you simply take one kernel from the center. And if that is cooked, then the whole pot is cooked. So we're reading Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that this is the absolute truth. So everything in relationship to the Bhagavad Gita is also true. This is axiomatic. So that's how we can understand that the truth is there. What's that? There's a formula in geometry for the understanding the nature of the angle. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Right? So we have that understanding. This is not rocket science, but some people will say, no, why should I? Bhāgavatam is too outlandish. Huge demons, coming from a stalk of hair, it rise up into the sky and it can destroy everything. But then they don't, there's so many other things that they take for granted. But this whole cosmic manifestation is coming out of the breathing of Mahavishnu. Universes, like dust particles filtering through a screen, Prabhupada gives that analogy. And in the sunlight, when you're seeing a screen, and we've all seen, or in the light that's coming, the rays through the window, you see these particles of dust. Everyone knows what the definition, what is the size, what is the smallest visible particle? Okay, that is 3 atoms. That is the smallest part. When 3 atoms together, that is the smallest visible particle to the naked eye. And so you see those particles passing through the screen in the sunlight. And this is all information in Bhāgavatam, including time. If you read that in 3rd canto, the materialists, they're astounded how time is defined in such a way that they cannot refute it. Everything is there, down to the measurement of time. But one has to read Bhagavad Gita in order to test the veracity. He gets confidence that yes, this is true. The Vedas are true. The Bhagavad Gita is just one chapter of the Mahabharata, meant for the less intelligent class of people. Sri Sudra Vaishya. One chapter in Mahabharata. And so we're fortunate to have this. And then we're reading and we're understanding, and then we're able to graduate to Śrimad Bhāgavatam and to Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Govinda Dasi, and she's saying, Prabhupada singing. Prabhupada was reciting Chaitanya Charitamrita and reciting the Bhagavatam. And we have those. You can hear sometimes Prabhupada chanting. You have, if you go on to whatever site, ISKCON Desire Tree, you search the archives, you hear Prabhupada chanting Chaitanya Charitamrita, chanting Bhagavad Gita. Very nice. The prayers to King Kulashekar. So all these things you hear Prabhupada singing. This chanting is so nice. Why is that? Because it immediately brings you to the transcendental platform. Why do we chant Jai Radha Madhava before we read Śrimad Bhāgavatam? Why not just chant Hare Krishna? Why not just chant Panchatattva Mahamantra? Because we're entering into the deepest understanding of the Shastra. Yeah? And the Gita Govinda, of course, is the culmination of that, but we're too covered over. But yet Prabhupada has instructed us to chant this in the beginning, so that we can understand what is the real mood. That after all of this studies, after all of this minute detail, the conclusion is Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. And so eventually, by gradual purification, Tadara Justamo Bhavo, we'll be able to have that association continuously. And so you see that's why devotees are so much attracted to go to the holy places. Because one is bathed in that transcendental environment. It's like if you go to a dirty place, you feel contaminated. You pass by like that lecture where Prabhupada gave with the dirty bathroom. That you pass by this bathroom without any reaction, and you're of the same mode. And so we're in this hellish position, but we're not affected by this because we're trying to deliver the fallen conditioned soul. So just like the doctor in the hospital, he takes certain precautions to keep his immune system strong so that he can serve others. So we're also doing the same. We're reading Śrimad Bhāgavatam. We're becoming inoculated from the material diseased atmosphere so that we can go out and deliver the message without ourselves falling victim. Now, one has to take it very seriously. Seriously and sincerely. Not just that reading as an academic exercise. He has to read and try to understand that what is that purpose? Not just that I'm hearing this pastime. What is the purpose of this pastime? Especially in this regard, it's easy to see that yes, if you offend a great soul like Lord Shiva, then the result is death. Spiritually or materially. We don't have to take it from that. And yes, Daksha lost his head, figuratively and physically. So we should also not lose our heads by committing any offenses. It's not worth it. If you've invested so much time in trying to cultivate your spiritual life, then the symptom is that one should be humble in his dealings with his God brothers and God sisters. He should respect those who have been put into positions of authority, regardless of what one may think. Because this is how Prabhupada taught us. Because things have to go on. It's not that, you have to do this because I'm the temple commander. No, you do this because I'm trying to assist in giving you a nice, clean place to live in. So we should all be thinking how to do that. So many great souls were temple commanders. In Vrindavan, Harisari Prabhu was temple commander of Krishna Bharam Temple. Other devotees were there at different times doing that service. Very thankless task at times. Right? What do they say? Like trying to herd cats. There's an American analogy. I don't think they have it in India. But you cannot herd cats. You can herd almost any other animal, but not cats. They're too independent-minded. However you want to justify that. So in any case, we have a very special, every week we have a special day, Sunday. Since Srila Prabhupada's desire to have the love feast. Initially it wasn't Sunday love feast, but the tradition became the Sunday love feast. And generations of devotees have come and joined this movement as a result of the Sunday love feast. It's not an ordinary thing. Now it's such a chore to put on. So many things have to be done. Everything, our consciousness will determine the outcome. If we're thinking that I wish it wasn't Sunday, work has to be done, so much cleaning, so many people are going to come and they're going to make a mess, then what will be the result? No, there won't be any good result. We're inviting people into Krishna's house. Everyone should be welcomed warmly and made to feel appreciated. Because you don't know who that person is. And so it is up to us that if we have, for whatever reason, if we can calculate that somehow or other by the grace of the devotees, I have been given this opportunity. Let me at least extend this opportunity. Let me give a book. Let me speak a few sweet words. Make sure that the person is getting prasadam. What is the harm? What is the loss? So we should make every endeavor to have the Sunday feast, and that means sometimes doing things that we don't do during the week, like maybe sweeping the front of the building. It's not always in everyone. It's not on our general schedule. But it doesn't require to be. Anybody could take a broom and sweep the front of the building. It's called spontaneous devotional service. You don't have to have the temple commander tell you. There are so many things like that. Somebody sees something that's not in order. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you. Just put it in order. What is the loss? Nahapa krama nasosti. There's no loss. And there's great benefit, great profit. Why do they even have the conception of so-called extra credit? When you go to school, they're trying to encourage you to do something academic. They say, yes, if you do this, you'll get extra credit. My philosophy when I'll just take whatever credit I get. I'm not, because I wasn't very academically inclined. But the point is that there is such a concept. And so the temple, the whole existence of the temple is extra credit for the living soul, conditioned soul, who's trying to become Krishna conscious. Everything in here is extra credit. Whatever you do is extra credit. And then above that is the extra credit that nobody has to tell you to do. And you do it spontaneously. And the more you engage spontaneously, the closer you become to developing spontaneous devotional service. Why is it called spontaneous devotional service? You don't get a certificate for that. You don't get Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta. You don't get the Raganuga Bhakti Shastra. No. But it is the highest achievement one can seek without just trying to be artificial about it. Just gradually developing that mood that, yes, I am a servant. And I am the servant of the servant of the servant. It doesn't matter that I didn't drop that on the floor. That's extra credit. It didn't matter that I left the counter in the kitchen dirty. If I have the time, I can clean it. What's the point? It's not my time anyway. Everywhere else, there's an injunction not to do another service. But that doesn't apply in the temple 99% of the time. In the temple, you can do anything. You can clean the bathroom, you can clean the kitchen, you can do all those assigned positions. You can't just spontaneously think, well, Krishna's garland is crooked, I'll just jump on the altar and straighten it out. No. That you don't do. That's foolishness. There have been, in the past, new devotees who thought that they could just walk on the altar. So, but hopefully those days are long gone. But, it happens. If you've been around long enough, you've seen everything. In Mexico, one time, my godbrother, Rohini Kumar Swami, he joined on 2nd Avenue, Rohini Kumar. He was one of the first devotees. He could speak Spanish, but he wasn't Spanish. He was American. But he was one of the first devotees to go and preach in Mexico City, which became a very big area of Krishna. Prabhupada visited Mexico City. Many devotees there. But it's a Christian country. People don't, they weren't familiar with, especially deity worship. And in Christian countries, deity worship is like taboo. It's an idol. And so, this Maharaj was on the altar. He wasn't Maharaj at the time. He was dressed in the deities. And, we have curtains. But there were no gates or anything like that. But there's a curtain. So someone in the temple, just a karmi, he wanted to see what was behind the curtain. He opened the curtain like this. Maharaj is dressed deity, so he closed the curtain. And this person pulled open the curtains again. Maharaj closed the curtain again and said, don't do it. Maharaj closed. And again, this person closed again. When Maharaj tried to close the curtain again, this person punched Maharaj in the nose. Of course, then the devotees came and restrained this person. This person said, I wanted to see what is behind the curtain. Something secret, something sacred. That person later joined the temple. And for that offense, he washed pots for a long time. A long time. And I don't know I don't think he ever got initiated. But he didn't really, he liked to wash pots. So he just did that. But these are the things that went on. There's such things can happen. And anyway, any questions? Any comments? Especially from our senior devotees like Param Brahma Prabhu? No? No comments, no questions? Or Sri Gopal Prabhu? Of course, they don't have questions because that's why they're senior devotees. Right? That's okay. We can just go about our Sunday duties. We have so many things to do. Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki. Gruntaraj Śrimad Bhāgavatam ki. Shri Shivada Govinda Dev ki. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita ki. Gaur Premanandi. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda ki.